Welcome to the second part of my online fingerprint presentation. Part 1 talked about what fingerprints were and the three main classes of fingerprints. This video presentation will discuss the 8 subclasses we use to further classify fingerprints. Let's start. From Part 1, we already know there are 3 main fingerprint classes: loops, arches, and whorls. If we only use these 3 classes, it would be very difficult to individualize fingerprints because there are so few possibilities. Luckily, there are different types within these classes. We call these subclasses, and there are a total of 8. First, we will talk about the loops. A loop is a type of fingerprint that has at least one ridge entering from one side, curving upward, and then exiting on the same side entered. There are 2 classes of loops: radial loops and ulnar loops. To determine which type of loop we are working with, we will focus on the direction of the loop. We must also know if the fingerprint came from the left or right hand. If you do not know which hand the print came from, you cannot identify it as radial or ulnar. The print would only be classified as a loop. On the right hand, if the loop opened towards the thumb, we call the print a radial loop. It is called radial because the loop opened towards the radius, which is a bone of the forearm. Again, on the right hand, if the loop opened towards the pinky or little finger, we call the print an ulnar loop. It is called ulnar because the loop opened towards the ulna, which is the other bone of the forearm. Impressions from the left hand would be reversed. Next, we will discuss the types of arches. Arches are prints that have friction ridges that enter on one side, rise in the middle, and exit on the other side. There are also 2 types of arches: planes and tented. In a plane arch, the friction ridges rise very gently, like a small ocean wave. The slope of the arch is not very steep. A tented arch, in contrast, looks like a tent. The ridges rise sharply, creating a steep slope. Lastly, we will cover the whorl. Whorls are a type of print that has 2 deltas and at least 1 core. There are 4 different subclasses of whorls: plain, central pocket loop, double loop, and accidental. The plain whorl has at least 1 ridge. It completes a circuit like a circle. It has 2 clearly defined deltas and only 1 core. It is very symmetrical. The central pocket loop whorl also has at least 1 ridge that completes a circuit. It differs from the plain whorl and the shape is not symmetrical, and it is difficult to see both deltas clearly. The double loop whorl has 2 loop patterns, one above the other. The shape may resemble an S or a yin-yang. It is usually very easy to identify this pattern because of the unique shape. Accidental whorls are patterns that do not fall into the other 3 whorl patterns. Accidental still show the general whorl characteristics, but are combined together. These are very rare, as only less than 1% of the population have this type of print. To easily remember the different classes and subclasses, just use the acronym LAW. LAW stands for loops, arches, and whorls. There are 2 loop subclasses and 2 arch subclasses, and there are 4 whorl subclasses. It is as easy as remembering that 2 plus 2 is 4. So let's wrap this video up. This video covered the 8 different subclasses that are derived from the 3 main fingerprint classes. In my next video, we will discuss fingerprint minutia and summarize all 3 video parts. Thanks for watching.